and gentlemen, let's go.
Travel, life, and fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
You're listening to the Life Adventurous Podcast, presented by Say What Radio.
The Life Adventurous Podcast is for fun-loving people who want to find, create, and live with adventure as a norm in their lives. Not just that type of adventure that makes you shit your pants, but the type of adventure that lights up your soul and helps you to feel even more alive. I'm Jenny Holla, your podcast host, and welcome to Your Life Adventure. What up? How's it going? So just sitting here thinking about a topic that's, in my opinion, pretty heavy and something that is a little tough to share. I've started and restarted this podcast recording a couple of times because I really want to get into some of the victimizing thoughts that we have. Sometimes we notice them, sometimes we don't, and how powerful it is to turn them. Right now, I feel like even more than ever is a very important time to really hone in on what you're telling yourself and the things that you're saying to yourself, because these words hold power. And I think back to about 6 or 7 years ago when I shot an audio recording coaching program that was about how to turn your negative thoughts into positive thoughts. So there's a lot of different tools and techniques that are available out there on how to really take that, because really we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and the majority of them can be very negative. Sometimes we're not aware of the thoughts, but like I said, there's a lot of tools and a lot of different coaching and a lot of different playbooks on how to be more positive. But I think that not one of them is the key, because sometimes you need different tools in your life. And I think they all build on each other. And so I want to share one today that has really helped me out a lot. And it was actually given to me by Danielle Shields, my mental health therapist that I've been working with for, a handful of months so far. She teaches on mindfulness, and we meet virtually. Prior to all this, we were already meeting virtually because she's not in my town. And actually, if you guys want a little taste of her, she was on as a guest on the Holistic Life podcast. And that's the one that Jay and I do together. So if you want to hear the interview with Danielle specifically, not about this topic that I'm sharing today, but just in general, if you want to hear her chat and get a little bit more of her, she's amazing. So pop over there. But I wanted to go back to this. So being that I am an A-type and driven and can be very hard on myself because I expect a lot and I really want to do a lot of things, and I even have perfectionist tendencies. And I'm sure that you have some of those things, if not all of them too. And as we were working together one time, she told me to pay attention to the most cruel and victimizing things that I say to myself. And my first knee-jerk response to that task was, well, I don't think anything bad about myself. I'm really positive. I'm a very positive person. That's not me. But then she helped me to understand, what are some of those things? And I'll share, I've got a sheet in front of me where I wrote them down. I'll share some of them, and I'll share with you my journey on how that's been and even how to change them and how you can do this in your life too. And as you start paying more attention to what you're saying yourself, you can identify these things. So basically, some of the ones, this is hard because this is like sharing your guts to the world. There are so many people that are going to listen to this, but I know it's going to help. Okay, so some of the ones I wrote down that I said a lot, and these were the top ones that came out of my head, were I should already have it figured out. And so that one for me, I was saying a lot when I was doing something new and I felt like I needed to show up really strong. And I felt like there was a lot expected of me. And when I didn't know what was going on, I thought, well, I should already have this all figured out. What's wrong with me? And so it's really that criticizing things that you say to yourself because you expect more. But as Danielle pointed out to me, these are very cruel and victimizing things that you say to yourself. So that was one. Another one is, why aren't you perfect? And that's not one I said directly, but really with the perfection that I expect and have expected in the past. Hopefully not too much in the future, but it's still going to come up right as you're shedding out those things. But why aren't you perfect? Never said that directly, but a lot of the things are about perfection. Another thing that I said a lot was, why don't I get this yet? Right? It's similar to the I haven't had it already figured out, is why don't I get this yet? I got to understand how I'm trying to learn this new thing and I just don't get it yet. These are things that I was saying very, very often to myself. and would get mad at myself. And it would be a very disempowering cycle that I was in. And it's interesting because as I'm reading them now, I've gone through the work that I'm going to share with you, the steps, and I don't fully relate to these anymore because I'm like, wow, that's so mean. Like, why would you say that to yourself? This one was related to softball. So if you listen to a previous episode about the life of a bench warmer, this was one that I was really going through at the time is I must not be good enough to play anymore. So I must not be good enough to play this sport anymore. So just imagine that. You keep saying that thing to yourself, you're going to manifest this. This is what's going to come up. And in your brain, the reticular activating system, you know how like when you have a car that you want to buy and you never see it very often, then you decide you want to buy it. Now you see it all over. It's because that part of your brain has tuned into this thing that you want to see and now sees it all over, right? So the same type of thing when it comes to law of attraction, when you start saying these words and have this energy behind them, because think about it, when you're saying these things to yourself, there's a lot of energy and emotion behind each of these words that continues to make this a reality in your life. And your brain, your life, everything goes to look for the things that will support what it is you're saying. Okay. So I must not be good enough to play anymore. It was almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy to see all of the ways that I wasn't good enough, which then would lead to me not playing very well, which then would lead to me feeling bad, which then would lead to me being in the victimizing state. Another one was, why does this take me so long to do? Spin off of some of the other ones earlier, right? Like, why can't I learn this faster? Like, why do so many people get it? Like, why am I so slow? Those things are very hurtful, but I was saying them all the time. Here's one is, who am I to do this? Like, who am I? This is like the imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to be the person to be able to lead this change, to be able to help people become life adventurous, to help people step into their next evolution, to help people really redefine, redesign, and realign their lives. Like, who am I to be able to do this? That question right there, a lot of people have the imposter syndrome. And I will tell you that through this work, it's helped to unwind that. Now, these things won't go away forever. Some will, and you won't ever think again, but some things might still be there. So that's why I was saying earlier, it's about different tools. Some of my other questions are, I should be working more. And this is something that I've really been doing very well at unwinding the workaholic type of mindset and mode that you operate on. So like, I should be working more and constantly putting pressure on yourself to work, deliver, go, as if you're not good enough if you don't do those things. And if you're thinking this too, oh my gosh, this is one of the things that I really want to help people out with is burnout and workaholic. That's why it's all about adventure for me, because it's like, how can you have more fun? Because I believe that life is meant to be fun. Life is meant to be enjoyed. Life is meant to be finding the adventure in all those moments. And it's the working thing. You may enjoy your work, but you have to give yourself a break. And I have learned and gone through lots of different experiences when it comes to like burnout and working so much. And as I said in previous episodes and on other things that we've done, it's like it took me a good 2 or 3 months to really catch up on sleep after all of my traveling around the country. And I really didn't think that I was as tired as I was. And if this is your first episode listening, to give you an example, as I was traveling 3 to 3.5 weeks out of the month, coast to coast for a role, and I would get up early and stay up late at client dinners and meetings and weekends and you name it. I was busy doing it, but I would have never admitted that I was tired at the moment. So, but it was all about working, right? Why am I not working more? If I worked more, I'd have my dreams. If I work more, I'd make more money. If I work more, right? So that's a very cruel and victimizing statement. Another one is, I should be further along. This statement I've said many, many, many times in my life is feeling like, man, I should be further along by now. What's wrong with me? That really doesn't help at all when you're like beating yourself up for not being at a certain place. And I could do a whole episode about that. But I just want to share, just so you guys know you're not alone if you're thinking and if you're saying these things to yourself. And I'll just read a couple of them off without giving too much of a story unless it really pops up is, I hate this about myself. And when I wrote this, there was something specific I was thinking at the moment, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But the point is, it's not good to hate something about yourself. What's wrong with me? Why can't you do more? Why am I not good enough? Why don't I fit in? I shouldn't have wasted time. Why can't I know it all already? Like all of these things are very cruel and victimizing. I keep saying that because I want to point out, because when Danielle did this with me, like I said, I didn't find them to be cruel and victimizing. I thought this was just me expecting more of myself. And so step 1, write down the 10 most cruel and victimizing things that you say to yourself. Get them out. Get them all out. You may have some energy flow through you and you may cry. You may have some kind of release. You may have anger, but get them out on paper. That's on one half. On the other half of the paper, step 2, at the top, write my new story. And what I want you to do with each one of those is I want you to reframe it. What you said on the other side, reframe it with a compassionate tone. And this is like the new story of everything that you want to feel. And so for a couple examples, why aren't you perfect? The reframe is you don't have to be perfect. I believe in you and you are so amazing. The reframe for who am I to do this is you are exactly the person. You have unique skills, perspectives, and experiences. You have the ability to change thousands of lives, if not millions. What's wrong with me? The reframe. There is nothing wrong with you. You are one of the most talented and amazing people that I know. Why am I not good enough? The reframe. You are always good enough. You bring the light and joy into a room and situation. It's up to you to make the impact you know you can and will. Why don't I fit in? The reframe. You aren't destined to fit in. You are destined for greatness. Let those who are attracted to your vibration come and build an amazing tribe of friends who love you. You will have an amazing time and all kinds of fun. So step 2 is writing that new story. And so you're reframing each one of those cruel, victimizing things, and you're reframing it with a compassionate tone with the new story that you want to create. Step number 3 is repeat the new stories out loud. So what I did every morning is I would read each one of those new stories. And okay, the overachiever side of me wrote, because I figured, you know what, let's just get it all out. I did 19 different cruel, victimizing things. And that's a lot. Not saying you have to do that, but I was like, let me just kill it all right now. Let me work on this. And so I would read these new stories out loud in the morning as part of my morning ritual. And I'd read them out loud. And I wouldn't even look at the cruel, victimizing. I would cover it up because I didn't want to go there again. I didn't want to think those things. And so I would read them out loud to myself every morning. And whenever I notice that I'm starting to feel a little bit down or something feels off, I will go back and read them because I know it'll help me to feel even more empowered. Step 4 is throughout the day, check yourself and see if you're saying these things. Notice if you're saying these things internally or even externally. And you can get a buddy and accountability partner and let them know what you're doing so they can let you know if, hey, you're saying this thing, I'm noticing. Or you could work with a coach on these things and the coach could help you to reframe stuff. This is something I really love to do, to pay attention to what people are saying and help them to say even more empowering things. And so step 1, write down the cruel and victimizing things. Step 2, on the other side of the paper, like the other half, put a T graph in there. And on the other half, write my new story at the top and reframe them in a compassionate tone. Step 3, say them out loud to yourself every morning. It should only take a few minutes. Danielle had actually asked me to record them on an audio and then listen back to them. That's not something I chose to do, but she said it's extremely powerful. And so she said the other thing, if you are going to record, is to make sure that you are in a very empowered state when you're saying them. And you may want to go through them a few days before you actually record, because if you're first reading it and you're like, you don't have to be perfect. I believe in you and you're so amazing. Like, you're not going to want to listen to that. That's not going to be super empowering. So you want to get to the point where you've got a little more energy behind it. And even if it's not all there, help bring it there. Get excited, move around, stand up, shake it out. But really, it's reading it to where it's like, you don't have to be perfect. I believe in you and you were so amazing. And that's why I read each of these every day. I read them as if, this time I imagine, I read it as if someone was telling me these things and I was telling myself and imagining that and putting the energy into it. Because it's like, what would I tell a little kid? What would I tell a friend? I would tell him these things and I would tell him with a lot of excitement. And so keep doing this as long as you feel guided to, but know that you can always come back to it. And as you continue to grow, like I've been going through them now, some of them may not be there anymore, and that's great. You shut them off. But there could be other cruel, victimizing things that you now have to become aware of to be able to shut off. So this may sound like, wow, I don't want to read these things out loud. Who's going to be around? All that stuff. Because I've given like lots of different tools to my clients about how to help change their thoughts. And I've even gone through a lot myself. The thing is if you're worried about what other people think, I think one of the things to remember is that this is your life and you really want to make the most of it. And so if someone thinks that you're weird or you're off or whatever for doing this thing to enhance your life, just think about that. Sit with that and really think about what that means and why you're feeling that way about it, because it could just be something you could shed and let go. I think just stopping and reflecting and saying, why is this so important to me about what this person thinks will help you to reflect. And then you could sit in meditation and you could release some of that. Or if it is super deep or you need help, you can work with a mental health therapist like Danielle Shields, or you could reach out to a coach. It just depends on what it is that you're working through. But just be aware. I think being aware, being curious, and asking questions as you're going through this process will be very important to help you. And I'm excited to hear how this has helped you transform, because I know it's been extremely helpful for me. And especially now, or when things are tough, or when things aren't going your way, or you're frustrated about something, just remember that your energy and your vibration is super important. And you want to be able to attract things to you that are positive, that are going to help you expand and help you grow. And so the more that you can be in this new story, the more that you can shed the old layers of yourself, the more that you can step into the new you, the faster you can get to your goals and your end results and everything else. Whew. That was a lot. I know that you are taking this all in and you're going to do this. And so send me a message on Instagram, or if you're brave and you want to share some of your ahas and your moments, share them on your Instagram stories with a video or some words. You can tag me in it at The Life Adventurist. I'd love to be able to support you and send you some love on this journey. I am looking forward to you stepping into creating and stepping into your new story. Mahalo. Thank you for listening to the Life Adventurist podcast. If you love this episode, remember to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. For course information, freebies, and to stay connected, join our Ohana, that means family, at www.2jhala.com/Ohana. Remember to stay positive, enjoy the journey, and most of all, keep those eyes open for all of the adventures surrounding you.